It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candice Gish. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Divas That Care. If this is your very first time, we're excited that you've joined us. You know, we've been doing this for 13 years. We're listened to in over 30 countries around the world. And honestly, it's because of our tribes, our amazing guests that come on our program, and all of the hosts that have joined us over the years. And we're so excited about that. We've actually done over 1,000 episodes now, and we're so excited because we're able to get these podcasts all around the world and inspire so many people. So again, thank you so much. All right, everyone, today we're going to be doing part 5 in a series that I'm doing with the amazing Rula Salinas, and for her book Stronger. So I know that a lot of you have already picked up this book, and for all of you that are just tuning in, we are doing a 7-part series about her amazing book Stronger, and I hope you go and pick up that book on Amazon or anywhere that you can buy this amazing book. Rula, welcome back.
Thanks so much, Candice. I'm so glad to be back.
I am so excited to have you back, my friend. Would you mind doing a quick introduction about yourself for our new listeners?
Sure. So Rula Salinas, I'm a registered counsellor, author, keynote speaker, and resilience coach. Now, in 2007, cancer changed my life path and led me on a different journey. So I published my first book, Stronger, You Can Overcome and Bounce Back from Adversity, in order to be able to help others navigate those difficult times, crisis, adversity, and challenges, and be able to not just survive, but thrive. And that's what's led us here today.
Yes, it has. And it has been a great time. You know, as I said, it's part 5, guys, and you should hear some of the amazing things that we have talked about the last few podcasts. You know, it's, oh my gosh, I am so excited about this. And today we're going to be talking about karma, the power of forgiveness and gratitude. Holy, this is going to be a lot to talk about, my friend.
Yes, it is.
I think this one's going to be a difficult topic. You know, there's some things in there that are probably going to be quite challenging for our listeners today.
Well, it depends on their perspective, but maybe for some, yeah.
So why are we talking about karma? Why is that important in your book?
It is important because sometimes when people hurt us, when, you know, it might be a relationship, or it might be an accident, or it might be something that's tragically happened, you go through a lot of emotions, and some people want to get them back. They want to hurt them. They want them to hurt just as much as they're feeling right now. But I believe in karma. I've found that that works for me because I believe what goes around comes around.
I believe that also. It's a funny thing to say because I'm like, oh, that's karma. And it's something that I grew up with and a lot of people were saying. But what does that mean for some of our listeners that might not understand that?
So basically, your actions, every action you do has a consequence. So the way you treat people, you're going to be treated. You know, you've got to understand that that's just how the universe is. So you might not get, like if you're doing all these good things, you might not be treated good from the person that you want, but you may get the good back from somewhere else. So I have found that I believe in karma because every action has a reaction and it also has a consequence. And if people understand that, they will be more aware of their actions and reactions. And also if people have gone through that, because it's going to lead us on to, you know, we're going to be talking about forgiveness. And I think that also goes hand in hand with what we're going to be talking about later. Yeah, I think also just, sometimes for me, I found that you leave it to the universe to, like I just leave it to the universe and karma. And maybe it also helps release some of the feelings that you're feeling, also. If you're angry at someone and you feel like it's unjustified and so on. So that may help some people change the narrative as well and change their perspective if they're feeling really angry and resentful, or if they're feeling they can't, so it just gives them another perspective to think, every action has a reaction. It does. That's just the way the universe works. And if they can understand that if someone does bad, well, they're going to get it back in some way or form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I was always told to have a positive mind frame, because you see things a little bit differently if instead of being angry all the time. When you're angry, you're in a different headspace and your energy level is so much different. But if you can somehow change that around so that you have more of a positive perspective on life, you see things different. You see colors different. You see energy different. You see people different. And that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yes.
Want the world to be is that I always encourage people to be as positive as they can, try to wake up with a smile, because you never know what's going to happen during the day. But if you try to put your best foot forward, I hope only great things will happen.
Yes, that's right. And if, some people are so hurt, they might want to hurt the other person back as much, but, you're only hurting yourself then as well, especially if it's, there's so many things that we hear now that's happening, murders and so on, and they're really only hurting themselves if they, end up doing harm or harming someone else, and then something tragic happens. So that we need to think of those things as well.
Exactly. And what are we putting forth to the people around us also? And what are we demonstrating to others? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I can see the rippling effect with that.
And the kids and the children, if they're seeing you want to get revenge or, take matters into your hand and so on. That's right. What are we teaching them? I found karma works for me. I feel that it's powerful because every action has a reaction and it has consequences.
And we can definitely do a whole bunch of talks just on that and teaching people about that. I love it. So tell me the power of forgiveness. What does that mean?
It's a really difficult one for some people. But forgiveness is something that we need to do for us, no matter how painful something has happened to us. Like I said, if someone's hurt you, you can think, how can they treat me like this? Or if an accident happened, or somebody took their life, or whatever it is. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a difficult process, but it's something that you do for you in order for you to move on, and have a richer, a more meaningful life with purpose.
I've been told over the years too that sometimes you hold, that grudge against somebody, and they don't even, it's not even affecting them. They have no idea. So all the energy you are putting out towards that could be reversed and put into something better.
That's exactly right.
How I was told how forgiveness works.
Well, imagine that's exactly right. So the anger and resentment that you might have towards your ex or whoever hurt you, well, that's not hurting them. That's hurting you. Carrying around all that anger and resentment is actually toxic to your body. It's toxic to your mind. So do you want to carry that? It comes to a point where you've got to decide, I no longer want to carry this burden. I no longer want to carry this anger and resentment and release it, because you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting them. And that's what I'm talking about. You're hurting you. So you're doing this for you. So it is a process, and we talked about before, it's a process that you need to go through in order for you to move forward and live a happier, healthier life.
Can I ask you, is there any tips in there, any strategies, things that people can use to help them get to that point? How do they work towards forgiving others?
Yes. Well, last time you mentioned journaling, and I think that's really powerful. So if you've got some unresolved feelings, so also talking to a counselor is very helpful. Talk therapy, that's really helpful to explore and release your feelings. The other thing is talking to family and friends, but journaling is really powerful, because there's some things you can't say to your friends. You might be able to say to your counsellor, but journaling is a really good way to release all those unresolved feelings that you're holding and get them out there and release it, and then let it out to the universe. You don't want to carry those feelings around.
No, you don't. A tip that somebody gave me a couple of years ago, they said, well, I don't like journaling because I don't like writing things out. So they're like, what I do is that I record myself.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody listens to it. I'll just record myself and I get my anger out, and that's how I deal with things.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
like, that's an excellent way to do it.
Yes, that's very good. Yes, that's a very good one. Recording yourself. I like that.
It was just another tip that they had. They thought it was a great way just to release those emotions, because they wanted to talk to somebody, but they didn't want anybody to know what they were going through. So they did it like this. And I thought that was an amazing way to do it.
Another one they could do is they could actually talk to someone, do a role play with someone and say those feelings to them, act to pretend that that's the person. If they can't talk to them, to the actual person, with someone and say all those feelings to them, release it that way. Like you just mentioned, you say it out loud.
I love that. See, that's why I love having you on this. This is absolutely fantastic information.
It is good. And that's why talk therapy is so therapeutic, because when you're talking to the counsellor, like you're actually saying, you're verbalizing it. And you also, it's exploring your feelings and releasing them at the same time, and also gaining insights into yourself. So it's very powerful. Yeah.
And finally, yay, we're going to be talking about gratitude. And Rula, this is my favorite part. I am all about gratitude. I am just so grateful for so many things, and I try to do that in my life. But what does gratitude mean to you, and what does it mean in this book?
Well, gratitude to me, there's so many things it means to me. But I would like to start off firstly, if someone is going through a very challenging time, and you might think, well, if you're depressed, how can you find anything that's that you're grateful for? Well, I challenge you on that, to find something. Even if you're going through a really difficult time and you're depressed and you're in this dark hole that you feel like you can't get out, find something that you're grateful for and focus on that as well, right? And because when you're going through this really challenging time, all you can think about is the bad. But when you start to focus on the gratitude and something that you're grateful for, you actually start to feel a bit better. So if you can continue doing that, it actually is a really positive and healing habit to create, because you do start to feel better. So you're starting to to focus on the positive and being grateful, instead of just always thinking about the negative and what's not working. So focus on what you're grateful for, what's working.
That is fantastic. That's exactly what I try to do too. Having a gratitude journal and having gratitude things and what I'm thankful for, and just really just visualizing that, because I think it's so important to remember the good things. We have a gratitude jar that we put things that we're grateful for.
Wow.
We do that and try to fill that up. And then at the end of the year, we can read those things that we've been grateful for. And I think that's just a positive thing, because sometimes you go through and you don't remember. And if you have a way to remember them, you're like, oh, yes. And I think that maybe just reinforces everything.
Yes, that's good. I like that. Yeah, gratitude jar. Very good.
Oh my gosh, I am having so much fun with this 7-part series. There's just so much, and you don't realize how much it uplifts you when you can hear somebody talking about that, because, we've mentioned before that there's so much that people are going through, and sometimes you feel like you're alone and you're just trying to figure things out. And I think a book like this that has these tips, they have these little things in there that you can read. I've always been such a visual person, and when I can see something, it makes more sense to me. And I think that that's really what you're doing, is you're really providing people with the tools to help them through their journeys.
Yes. And I've had people say to me they've read it 3-4 times. So it's something you can go back to. And the more they read it, the more, they can, just reminds them to practice it, and the better they get at it. So it is. Look, if things are harder to do when you're going through a challenging time, because we get so overwhelmed with emotions, and having something positive to read is really reinforcing, and it will help navigate those difficult times.
I couldn't agree with you more. My goodness. Thank you so much, Rula, for coming back onto the Divas That Care. I'm just so grateful that you're able to do that and be on here and share this with all of our amazing listeners around the world.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you, Candace.
One more thing, Rula, would you mind sharing your website and where they can buy your book?
Sure. So my website is rulasalinas.com, ROULASELINAS.com. And they can also sign up for a free ebook. Stronger is available on Amazon, but it's also available globally on all the major retailers online.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Rula, what is our next topic for the next part of our series?
Our next topic is going to be, we've got goals, asking and receiving, action. We've got quite a few. Mind, body, and spirit. Finding balance, and holistic health and resilience.
So for all of our listeners, make sure you check out our other podcasts, but come back for our next one so that you can learn all about that also. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Rula, for sharing with us today.
Thank you, Candace.
And a huge shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for these amazing 13 years. You guys are an amazing tribe. We're so thankful that you're so supportive of all of our guests, all of our hosts on the Divas That Care network. Make sure that you take this program and you give it to your friends and family. It's all about paying it forward, guys. That's what we're all about, is collaboration and paying it forward. So again, thank you to my amazing guest, and thank you to all of you listeners. I hope that you do something kind. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.